Welcome back to Restart After Divorce. This is episode 14.
Lucky 14.
Yes, we survived 13.
We did, as far as we know. We're still here, so let's just move on to 14 and onwards and upwards. Okay, what do you want to talk about today?
We are going to talk about parenting patterns.
Okay.
But it's more like from one generation to another.
Yeah, you said earlier on that you were saying, what do we learn from our parents? And I've been thinking about that as we've been going through the morning. And it's like, what did I learn from my parents? I have very vague memories of my parenting experience with my parents, keeping in mind I had effectively 4 parents.
Grandparents.
My grandparents on my mother's side were incredibly important to me in terms of the way that I was brought up. And thinking about that, that means that not only did I have the kind of like 1960s, 70s, early 80s parenting experience, but I also had many qualities of parenting that were more driven by the 40s and the 50s. So I had 2 schools of parenting that kind of worked with me. The one thing I think was consistent was it wasn't very disciplined, but it wasn't also harsh. It was fair, it wasn't intrusive, and to some extent I think that has played out in the way that I've been a parent. I have been accused by people I am no longer married to as being the Disney dad.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Which I assume is not meant to be a good thing, which is funny because Disney makes billions of dollars a year with people going to them and enjoying the experience. So maybe I should monetize this and become Disney dad to other parents and families and kids. When I was in England for a wedding, see, I've gone off again. I was in England in April for a wedding, and
Right.
I stepped in to be the bride's father because her parents had passed.
Okay.
And at the end of it, the lady who also her best friend in England, who took on the role of bride's mother, we were discussing maybe we should start an agency where we actually just rent ourselves out as parents. Like, you don't like your own or you don't have any, we'll step in and we'll be the bride's or groom's parents, and we'll do a cracking job. Just give us half an hour, understand your biography, leave us to it. We'll rock.
You do really well, I think.
Yeah, it's like I can make this up on the fly.
Yeah.
Easy. But being a Disney dad, was my father a Disney dad? No. Ex-military, wasn't harsh, wasn't critical, certainly not physical. My joke was always that my mother was strategic and tactical weapons, he was nuclear. We never called on my father to discipline us because we knew it would be not a good thing.
Okay.
So not that he had a temper when he was a father, he had one before we were born, and he calmed down a lot in his parenting years. But yeah, we always knew that if we made our dad upset, we would be in real trouble. Now, what about you? What about your parents?
Yeah, so my parents were around, but they were not very supportive or loving.
You had said that because you thought your mum, for example, was back in Taiwan when your father was in Austria.
Yes, so my mom was not living with me when I was starting from teenager. She was very far away, and she was not a loving person because she was yet so far away. So I never felt supported by my dad either. He had a very harsh parenting style, and I never felt loved or supported by either of them. And I think when I first became a mom, and I was like, you know what, I don't want to be like them at all, in a positive way. Like, I want to be a supportive, loving mother. But then I did not know that because I never experienced it, it was not was not programmed to do it because I never experienced the love and support.
Okay, you never had a foundation there for you to understand how to be a loving, supportive parent. You never had the experience yourself.
Right. It was when I took my son when he was a year and a half, went to see my godmother. She was like a substitute of my mother growing up. And she showed me what I needed to do to like tell my son that I loved him, and that's just part of being a mom. And I had to stop and thought about it for a little bit, and then that just kind of really surprised me that I never had that. And I, like being a mom, I had to tell my son that I loved him. That was...
Now, did you always think it was because it was just taken for granted? You didn't have to express it. It's the love languages thing, words of affirmation.
Well, because I never experienced it, so I didn't know that was something that I needed to do. It's not a love language, or it's not like that at all. It's just like I just didn't know that you were supposed to do that as a mom, and that I was really surprised. I was like shocked by that, and he was a year and a half, and that made me reflect about my parenting style even more, and it made me a different mom than if I just didn't have that moment of that moment of like, oh, you need to do that.
Now, what are you like now?
I would like to think I'm supportive and loving.
Should we talk to the boys? Let's have a chat with the boys and see what they have to say.
I think they would agree with me. So it was quite interesting when during COVID, my son was about maybe 9 years old. We went paddleboarding for the first time, and I just couldn't stand up on that paddleboard because you are supposed to, when you're supposed to like work your way through like sitting down and then standing up. I just couldn't do it. And my son was in a kayak next to me, and then he told me, he was like, Mom, you can stand up, just do it. I was like, I don't think I can do it. I'm a little scared. And what he told me really just that stayed with me for such a long time. He said, I'll be right next to you, supporting you. And I was so surprised by that. I was like, nobody has ever said that to me my entire life.
Wow.
And I was like, you know what? I've raised him well because I've always played that role, being supportive and loving, whatever he needs. And then he was able to replicate and say, you know what, Mom, I'll be there for you to help you out. I'll be right next to you. And if you fall, I'll be there for you. And that was such a touching moment to know I've done okay as a mom. Like, he's able to be supportive and loving. So that felt really good.
That's cool. That is cool. So obviously you did learn, through experience, not through memory, not through your childhood experiences, but just by being a parent, you realized you'd raised them well.
Well, it took a little bit, but
it's always going to be work. Every relationship is about work. I had that conversation this morning with somebody that, you would love your ideal relationship with a partner, with your children, with your family, is it takes no effort. It just glides along as if there is no friction there whatsoever. There's no work involved. But the reality is there's always work involved.
Yes.
Nothing is straightforward. Everybody has their own personal dynamic to deal with, and you're having to navigate that. Sometimes it's really easy. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's too hard and you just give up. Hence 50% of people are divorced. And a lot of people are estranged from their kids as well.
Yes.
I always remember my parenting experience, I think, with my parents, because my father was initially in the Navy, so I didn't see him for the first couple of years, but then he was there until I was 11 years old. And then he took it upon himself to make money by going abroad and working in the Middle East. So I didn't have a father per se physically present for 6 months out of the year. Then he'd come back for 2 weeks and he'd be gone for another 6 months. So I
Right.
barely saw him from the age of 11, 12 years old until I was in my teens,
Right.
late teens, when he took a break from it. So my primary father figure was my grandfather on my mother's side, who I still revere to this day, and he's been gone. It will have been 40 years next year that he died, but he still lives very much in my memory on a day-to-day basis. It's difficult, however, to remember what those parenting experiences were like, probably because they were so benign. There's no spikes in there where there was moments of true anger there, but then again, I remember the good stuff. But I've always remembered that, or come to the conclusion that when you're looking at your memory, for some reason, all the good stuff only stays with you as a feeling. You don't actually keep in mind much of the vivid detail of it. But strangely, when something bad happens, even if it's 40 years ago, 50 years ago, you remember it with a clarity that is disturbing. And I think that's primarily because of a natural defense reaction. The good stuff is good, so you don't have to worry about it. There's no risk involved, there's no fear. But my God, something scary happens to you. You can still remember the surroundings, the moment, the people there with so much vividness. I think it's just a natural physical, mental capability to remember those things. And because my parenting history, my childhood history with my grandmother and my grandfather and my parents was so sweet and so benign, I got nothing to remember, just that it was good. I never had to struggle for anything. I never had to worry about stuff because they were always there. At least one of them was always there for me.
Right.
And that makes a big difference. I think that's how it plays out now with my kids, that I always feel I want to be there for them, even if they don't need me. I'm not a helicopter parent by any means.
Okay.
I'm just too lazy for that.
Okay.
They're mother helicopters. I just kind of act as a plane parked off in the distance. When they want to go joyriding, fly me. It must have had an impact, but I don't actually feel. Actually, I'll take it back. So there have been those rare moments where I get angry with the kids.
Well, we're human.
Yeah, but I'm English as well, so it's a different type of human. When I get angry with my kids and I lose them, I always have these out of body experiences where for a moment I'm looking out on myself and I'm going, oh my God, I'm my dad. Because those moments when my father got angry, which are few and far between, they now manifest themselves in my memory as my facial expression when he got angry with the kids.
Okay.
Now, it only happens like Christmas and Easter, maybe once or twice a year,
Okay.
that my anger truly, truly spills over. But what I've noticed is that when the anger comes out, because it is so rare, it has true meaning. They know they've fucked up if I get angry. Like it is the thermonuclear option again, just like when my father was around when I was younger. You don't get that angry because when he's angry, he's really angry. It happened last time that happened was last Halloween, and a very bad comment from one of my kids just pushed me over the edge. I completely lost it. Not against them, just in general. But once again, when I get super angry with the kids, or anybody for that matter, after I've calmed down and the emotions have settled and I'm back to being a more rational human being, the first thing I do is always go and apologize.
Well, that's good.
Every time.
That's good.
With my eldest, when it was just the three of us, he would upset me a number of times and I would blow up. And I vividly remember one morning he did something that really got me angry, and I just lost it and screamed at him. Then after I'd finished, I walked off into another room and burst into tears
Oh,
because I felt so bad that I couldn't control it. And I remember he's probably all of 5 or 6 years old. He comes in and goes, "It's okay, Dad. It's fine. Don't worry."
so
I
mature.
was like, I was like, but the fact that he could do that kind of makes it worse. Yeah, I always, whenever get that angry, the following emotion is just one of total shame and sadness that I didn't have the ability to keep it under control.
I think it's just the human side of you,
Oh, yeah.
right? I think it happens to everybody,
Well, it goes back to what I've said before in previous discussions. Reason, emotions live in the moment,
right?
thinking lives in the future. If you can think through that moment and stop yourself, that's great. But
Hmm.
sometimes the emotion just bursts through like a volcano and you go with where you are. Sometimes it's happiness, but a lot of times, in particular, it seems to
Hmm.
be anger. Your frustration level reaches a boiling point, and next thing you know, it pops.
Yeah. So what I do is, if I had, an outburst, I go back and apologize, which my parents never
Oh,
did.
no.
And I noticed that with my kids, with my son, he would do the same. He has like a meltdown or something. He will actually come back and apologize. Not all the time, but
Hmm.
sometimes, which is a good
Yeah.
thing, right? Because you have to admit, like, you had an outburst and it
Yeah.
was not okay. And what I started doing is I noticed that I would have these outbursts if I'm like really tired. So if I'm really
Oh,
tired,
yeah.
so I would just tell the kids, don't bother me. I'm in my room. Just leave me alone. I'm just tired, exhausted, not in the best mood.
You think about it, it's kind of like, okay, so what is the best way of creating emotional instability? Not to an extreme sense, but just in a general sense. Have sex,
Hmm.
get pregnant, go through labor, be thrown a kid, and then spend the next 18 years dealing with it. And you are tired, you are irritable, you're trying to cover so many bases at once. You usually put yourself to the very last in
Hmm.
terms of needs. It's not surprising, really, that we have outbursts.
Well, I think even people who don't have, it's just part of being human, right? Even if you don't
Yeah.
have kids or with kids or they are grown, we all have stressful moments and stress
Do you get the
at
sense?
life,
Do
in
you
life.
get the sense that stress levels these days are far greater than they were when we were watching our parents with us?
I have not compared, but I do
Like,
feel like nowadays there's more stressors.
there's more general stress around.
Nowadays,
That's the
yeah.
problem. Be
Yeah.
it existential stress about what's going on politically,
Right.
globally, socially.
Yes, there's
There's always that constant onslaught of social media that we're always talking about and obsessing about, and then spending 20 minutes
mhm,
scrolling through discussions about it until we finally realize the moment that we're actually the problem, not there is a problem.
right.
Um, I always think about it in terms of bills. Like when I was a kid, I remember my parents paid an electric bill, a gas bill, a phone bill, a TV license,
Right.
and that was it.
Yep.
There were probably other documents around that were a little bit more esoteric. I'm sure they had insurance. Well, I know they did. They probably had other things as well, but it just felt as if it was so much more straightforward. We now live in an age where I can't even begin to tell you how many subscriptions I've got to magazines or TV channels or,
The apps
yeah,
on
the
your
apps.
phone.
And it's like, oh my God, how did I get to the point where effectively I'm spending all my time thinking, maybe not doing, but thinking about everything I'm paying out for? And that's for me, that's for the kids, that's
Hmm.
for work, that's for pleasure, that's for getting into the house, that's for checking your bank account. It's this, it's that. It's there's just so much more stimulation out there. There's so many
Hmm.
things vying for our attention. hence the attention economy, that it's difficult at times to be focused on the kids. I mean, good Lord, the kids aren't focused on us once they get hold of a phone of their own. And then you spend your time just trying to get them off the damn thing.
But I feel like I'm doing better with managing like the emotions as as my son started to become a teenager, because I've taken some workshops and understanding that teenagers, they're just very different in terms of
Yeah.
emotions. So I've actually took a lot more time to be aware about like how I'm feeling that moment when I come home, and just make sure that we don't have a fight, because they are so good at pushing your buttons,
Oh, yeah.
right?
I watch my twins in particular. My oldest is 6 years older, so it's difficult for him to necessarily relate to two 12-year-olds. But I watch the 12-year-olds in particular, and my ex, who's an only child. There are times when she seems genuinely perplexed, even astonished by the antics that they get up to in terms of just antagonizing each other.
Hmm.
And I try to explain to us that this is what kids do,
Right.
especially siblings.
Yes.
Siblings are a safe space for you to be a dick and not get in trouble for it. It's a
For
great
the most
learning
part.
experience. Yeah, it's a great learning experience. But I watch one in particular, one of the twins, poke and prod and generally goad the other one, and I'm like, oh my god, that was me. That was me with my younger brother. So I have a younger brother who's a year junior to me. And I think back to all of the shit that I gave him as an elder brother, because I knew how to push his buttons. I knew how
Right.
to antagonize him. And the horrible thing was that I was still doing it into my 30s. It's like I would go home for visits to England, and it was just way too easy to still take digs at him. Now, things have changed considerably since then. I think after my father passed away, I remember the day after my father passed away, I went out drinking with a friend, and she said something about my brother, and I said, "Please don't say that. It seems unfair." And she went, "What changed in you?" And I said, "I think I just grew up. My father dying was one of those moments that forces you to grow up again. You can't be a child forever. And everything on the surface, in terms of your job, your career, your family that you've bred, turn you into an adult, but there is still an underlying part of you that is still a child. And I think when you lose your parents, which I've done with both, it does force you to reevaluate. It does force you to rethink things. I remember a couple of days before my father died, we were talking. Actually, it was the Tuesday. He died on a Saturday morning. It was Tuesday in the hospital as we were waiting to get an ambulance home. And I asked him, I said, "It's just the two of us now.
Right.
You don't have to be brave around mum or my brother. You can just talk to me man to man." I said, "How do you feel? Are you okay?" Which was a stupid fucking question. He's dying, but how are you emotionally dealing with this? And he said, "You know what? I'm fine." I mean, he was incredibly stoic about everything. He said, "I'm aggravated, irritated more
Hmm.
than anything else." And it's like, I regret that I won't be around to see how your lives develop. I'm worried about your mother. And what was it he said? Oh, he said, "I just feel bad that you had to put your life on hold and come back from America to deal with this." And I went, "Don't be stupid. I realize in this moment that being here with you is what being a child, being a parent is about. It's so important to me at this point that I'm here with you to be here, comfort you, see out the journey. And I wouldn't want it any other way. There's no way I could imagine not being here with you as this is happening, because then I would have been a bad child. So, and he was gone a few days later. And then a year later, my oldest son was born. Within the same week, 1 year to the week that my father died, I became a father myself.
Oh, wow.
So I felt there was a certain, I don't know, certain kind of karma there. It was
Right.
strange. I remember the day that we found out that my wife was pregnant. The first thing I did was burst into tears because I was just so sad that my father wasn't around to know this.
Oh,
So, because it was only 3 months, 4 months
right.
after he passed away. So, yeah, I mean, I suppose my memories of parenting are far more vivid of my parents as an adult than they are as a kid. Because there was no age difference per se. Keep in
Right.
mind, when I was born, my father was 24, my
Right.
mother was 18.
Right.
So I remember when I was telling her I was getting married for the first time, and my first wife was 10 years older than me, which means she was 8 years younger
Right.
than my mother. And just telling her that, you know, you're not gaining a daughter, you're gaining that younger sister you never got from your parents. She didn't see the funny side of it. Yeah, I think the whole parenting, I really don't know what I inherited from my parents. I've spoken a lot about my dad, but not my mother,
Hmm.
because my relationship with my mother was a lot more complex.
Okay.
And I do wonder whether some of the flaws that my ex sees in me in terms of my ability to parent,
Hmm.
because she's been critical of my parenting style and skills, are not driven as much by inherited qualities I had from my mum. That might be a whole different conversation.
But I feel as parents, we do our best, and there are different
Ev
parenting
ev
styles,
Do you
and
ever
one
read
is always
do
gonna.
you read books about parenting?
I used to when my son was young, when he was born, I read a lot of books and I attended a lot of workshops. So I know there are different styles, and the styles don't like
Oh,
each
yeah.
other, right?
Yeah. I remember my
Just like
hairstylist
everything.
when I think when my eldest was coming, I was it was so badly timed. I was there getting my hair cut when it was shorter than this, and I start talking about the baby on the way and stuff like that, and said, "Yeah, oh, yeah, we're buying books." And, I just find the idea of books to tell you how to parent to be so stupid. Such a bad idea. It's something that you'll either be able to do or you won't. I mean, it's unfortunate for the kid if you can't.
I
And
do
then
feel
she,
there's some wisdom in the books though.
to some extent, I
But you
mean,
do need like real life experience, and then maybe someone else helping you guide you through it.
yeah,
Just the books by itself is not gonna
yeah,
work.
because I remember having that conversation with my hairstylist, and then she handed me a gift, and it was a book. And it's like badly timed. But I do vividly remember the first time after he was born, taking him home and putting the carrying case on the chaise, and the two of us are looking at him and going, "Now what?"
Exactly, know what the real life experience,
Yeah,
right?
there's no book out there. Actually,
Right.
probably the biggest influence was his grandmother, my mother-in-law.
Hmm.
She's been with us on and off for 18 years.
Yeah.
And while it's been difficult at times and antagonistic, having that grandmother in the house, I think, has been the godsend that the children will always remember,
Yeah.
even if they don't always like her cooking. So, very Eastern European. Yeah, I do vividly remember that. Now what? How do we go about this? Doesn't matter what your parents taught you, it doesn't matter about what you read in the books. Once you've got that kid, you just have to start the journey
Just
and
wing
you
it.
make it up as you go along.
He's alive and breathing today, so you did
I do
fine.
believe in setting the
Yeah.
bar fairly low. I do remember
Yeah.
thinking about if you went out on a date night and you'd come back and you'd ask, how the kids were. And there were two levels of questioning. There's the mother's question. Did he eat?
Yes.
How much did he eat?
What time?
What time?
How much?
Yeah. Did he poop? Did he not poop?
Yeah.
What time did he go down to bed? Was he easy? Was he, was he difficult? Is he sleeping well? Have you had to go? It was like,
Mhm.
and then the father is like one head, two arms, two legs,
Yeah.
a pulse, breathing. We're good.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't really matter what went on. We keep it simple. Dads keep it real simple.
Yes. I had to go from the really uptight type to like having the second one is like, all right,
yeah,
he's breathing. I'm happy.
Second kids, they don't get the same level.
No,
of
they don't get the
attention.
same treatment. No, it's just like he's breathing. We're
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
So I'm sure our parents went through exactly the same thing.
Yes,
We
probably.
just can't remember it because we were too young.
Yep.
Oh well, such is life. All right, we've hit our half an hour. Oh my god,
Yes.
and some.
We did. All right.
Cool.
So, so it doesn't matter what your parenting style is. I mean,
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
Like-
You learn as you go,
It's
right?
like Nike says, just do it.
Just do it. As long as the person is breathing
Yeah.
and alive, I think you've
Yeah.
done an okay job.
Oh my god, that's the Nike philosophy of parenting. Just do it.
Just do it. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it for episode 14. Like and subscribe if you like this episode. See you next time.
Ciao.